Well, my experience has been studying coral reefs in different parts of the world. I've done that for 45 years. And coral reefs are really critical ecosystems, not just for their iconic biodiversity, but they also support the livelihoods of about 400 million people around the world, mainly in relatively small, relatively poor, rapidly developing countries. So the ecosystem goods and services that coral reefs provide to people are really, really important. And like many ecosystems around the world, coral reefs are under increasing pressure. So the whole concept of planetary boundaries is avoiding critical tipping points beyond which we really are into uncharted territory in terms of what our planet looks like. So it's really critical at the moment. There's a narrow window of opportunity to save coral reefs from things like climate change, overfishing, and other anthropogenic impacts on reefs. And so we've got a window of opportunity to save them. And the concept of planetary boundaries, I think, is really key to understanding that dynamic and the interaction between people and ecosystems. Planetary boundary science is incredibly broad and multidisciplinary, so the future of that whole endeavor is really boundless. It could go in many different directions. My own research is interested in time lags and the likelihood that we have in fact already transgressed many of these tipping points, but we just don't know about it because the response of, say, an ecosystem as complex as a coral reef doesn't unfold immediately. So we often think of tipping point as a crash. But in reality, tipping points can be very slow, and the transition from where we want to be to where we don't want to go can unfold over several decades or even longer. A good example, I think, is what's happening with rising sea level. Even if we stop polluting the atmosphere with greenhouse gases almost immediately, sea level rise will continue for many centuries. So these time lags, I think, are really important, and it's one of the many frontiers in the planetary boundary concept that I think will be really useful research in the future. My personal message to the Frontiers Prize community is that this is a really important prize. There's nothing quite like it. In the whole world. It recognizes the importance of the planetary boundary concept for humanity's future, and I think it's important that the prize becomes better known, and I think that is already happening, and that it promotes multidisciplinary research, particularly in the developing world and particularly with early career researchers.